Hi YouTube. Well, today I'm a couple of miles away from the Roosevelt's main house, and it was owned by Franklin's mother, and that Franklin bought about 198 acres here, a couple miles away, and it was a place where they could go that they could picnic, and actually on the banks of the Val Kil, Kil being an old Dutch word for stream and Val for valley. And anyway, they were here in, I think it was 1924, having a picnic, and a couple of Eleanor's friends, her best friends for life, were here, and they were talking about how it would be great if they could just stay here year-round, and because Mama closed up the mansion and moved down to New York City for the winter, and she assumed everybody would come, and Franklin said, you know, I own this, we can do anything we want here. And that's how the idea of the stone cottage was born. And they built this, and Eleanor kept a bedroom there. Her friends could stay there at any time, and so this was her retreat to get away from Mom. If you remember from a couple videos back, when we were there, how her bedroom was between Franklin's and her mother-in-law's, the connecting doors, no privacy, and Mom ruled. So this, that was her place, her rules. Over here, Eleanor could hang out with friends and get away and relax. Eventually, another friend was added, and she had the idea of having Val Kil Industries, where they would teach the local farmers trades that they could use through the winter months, help them get by, and they built a factory, and it was to build furniture, and the idea was to eventually have 100 people working here. The highest they got was 18, but in 1936 they shut the factory down, and Eleanor figured that this was a good time for her to actually have a place of her own. She had discovered that Franklin had had an affair, or he was, at least one, in the 20s, and his mom was on her side, and but convinced them not to get divorced. They did have 5 children, and it would have probably ruined his political career. But he and she dealt with his polio and stuff still. They ended up staying married for the rest of his life, and she converted this into a 20-bedroom home for herself. And so we can go take a tour of that, and we'll also take a look around inside first into the stone house. So this little barbecue grill is made low to the ground so Franklin could cook up some hot dogs for visiting dignitaries, because they tended to treat everybody as just normal folks. So I fed the King and Queen of England hot dogs when they came over in the late 30s. It's a nice picture of as they were building Val Kil. I really love this room with the dark wood and the exposed dark beams, and a nice big fireplace with a spot to sit and warm your toes and grab a book off the bookshelf.
For the visitors,
So this is the, I suppose this probably was like the living room. Nice and big and real high. So this is the Cufflink Gang in 1934, and a toga-themed birthday celebration at the White House to satirize the opponent's comparison to FDR as a Roman emperor. And considering the fact that that was only 2 years into his first term, sort of weird. And some of the stuff they have here, the 1933 ticket to the inauguration. So this was Eleanor's secretary's part of the house, and there's her guest room here. Her bedroom would have been through that door. Kitchen over that way. When Eleanor restricted the cocktail hour to be in 10 minutes, her secretary sometimes would slip people in here to the kitchen to get a little head start. So the next room's the dining room, and as you can see, nothing fancy. Everybody, no matter whether you were the King of England or Winston Churchill or the farmer down the road, this is what you would eat on. This table could hold up to 12 people, but would remind me of my youth and elbow to elbow. But nothing fancy. The walls are white pine, this having used to have been a factory. Pretty utilitarian, but wide chain.
There is no handrail, so just watch your step.
So this is the sitting room, and a lot of different styles, and she just wanted people to be comfortable. And back in that corner is where 1960 John F. Kennedy came to call, looking for her to endorse him in his run for president. They were back there for 3 hours, and the main thing is she got him to promise to work on civil rights. And
just watch your step.
So under this cover is the swimming pool here. And Franklin would do a little physical therapy in here. He loved to swim and soak. Eleanor grew up being shy, called ugly duckling by her friends, and her mother died when she was 8. Her father died about a year later. One of her brothers died. Her dad died basically from complications from being alcoholic. One of her brothers died as an alcoholic, which explains why the 10-minute social hour, happy hour, is that she didn't want to encourage heavy drinking at all. She did go on to, well, after Franklin had got hit with polio, for 7 years, she toured around and giving speeches and keeping his name in the public eye. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have been governor. He wouldn't have been elected the presidency. And but she used his eyes and ears around the country. She went places that she basically redefined being a first lady. She went places first ladies didn't go. One of the places was actually insisted on going down into a coal mine. And that a couple of times, I guess the headlines were that the First Lady's spending the night in the White House on her way to someplace else. So she traveled extensively. I think she put on 40,000 miles in a year. It's taken me 2.5 to do that. So after she discovered his infidelity and they were able to work it out, and their marriage became, in many ways, a political partnership. He knew politics, and because she, as a young woman, had volunteered to work in a settlement house, she had seen working conditions and poverty up firsthand. And as she toured around the country and visited a lot of people and jobs and the coal mine and getting out into the camps with the people, that she was his eyes and his ears around the country, and some people thought of her as his conscience. And he told her that she was free to speak however she wanted, but in some cases she hadn't. And he said he could always use the excuse that I can do nothing with my wife. Well, I think this is going to end my visit here. And just one last thing is up there. That was Eleanor's sleeping porch. And she loved to sleep outdoors, nice cool night breezes, and she would stay there till around Thanksgiving, maybe a little after. And in this area, there'd already been a couple snowfalls, so she'd be wearing 5 pairs of wool socks, long underwear to sleep out there. But I can identify with that. So I'm going to hit the road and see what else I can find. See you later, YouTube.